the Baltimore Ravens got some news yesterday, and this was kind of a strange thing how it all came out. Mark Maskey, formerly of the Washington Post, is continuing to grind away, and I respect the guy. I respect the hustle. He's attaching his reports to his Twitter page, and he's trying to find another gig.
Yeah.
So he was, and he's got connections with the league office. He's got connections around the league.
Obviously,
and
there.
Troy Vincent, the executive vice president of football operations, made some comments yesterday, and the core of it is when they went back and looked at the plays from 2025, there were 5 plays that they regret how the replay was handled. There were 5 that if we had to do it again, they would do it differently. Now, the way that it was initially explained to Maskey, the Isaiah Likely touchdown catch that was reversed on replay review is one of the 5.
Yeah.
And I can understand why, because they get too focused on the third step. They ignore the other ways to satisfy the process of completing a catch, such as extending the ball, warding off an opponent.
I mean, you got a guy hanging on him for like a half a second.
As made by the official who was standing there less than 20 feet away, was touchdown. So it's got to be clear and obvious that that mistake was made by the official, and you can see the ball's down, 2 feet are down, and the ball's knocked out before the third foot.
I mean, you could even say maybe the cleat on the third foot might have been touching the ground, like barely, but yeah, it was that close.
So initially, it was reported by Maskey that Troy Vincent had said that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Then that's when it got a little weird.
Right.
They had to put the toothpaste back in the tube. Vincent wasn't talking about that play. Well, it was still a mistake, in my opinion, whether you admit it or not. And there were still 5 that they acknowledged.
Right.
And I don't know how MDS got them to do this, but one of the NFL spokespeople admitted to MDS that one of the 5 was the one that I've been yelling about since the day it happened.
Right.
The Aaron Rodgers catch that was an interception was reversed to a catch.
And given a catch,
And the whole reason why this became a thing in January, this is December 7, week 14, this became a thing in January.
It's incredible
because
to see it again.
The explanation they gave to turn this interception into a catch is the exact same reasoning that should have applied or would have applied if this is the official rule. It would have applied to the Brandon Cooks catch that became an interception in the playoff game in Denver.
Right.
Because exactly what they said in explaining how that wasn't an interception but a catch, if you take that language and apply it to the Brandon Cooks play,
then you'd go, that should have been a catch. Right.
And I said, you can't reconcile the two. And I've talked to people in the league, and it's like, you can't reconcile the two. And I think they went back and took a closer look and realized, you know what? That dumbass is right.
Yeah.
We can't reconcile the two. We better admit one of them was wrong.
Right.
Okay, the Rodgers call was wrong. And what does it affect? It affects the outcome of that game. It affects you got 3 mistakes now from that game.
Yeah.
You got the one they admitted early on, the Travis Jones unnecessary roughness, where they said that he was pushing against the center, leverage on the center, and they admitted that it wasn't.
Right.
That took a field goal off the board and turned it into a touchdown like on the next play.
Right.
You've got the Isaiah Likely catch, which came after the Rodgers play, and you got the Rodgers play. You got 3 calls. And if that game flips, and I know you still have 5 more weeks of football, but you flip that game, and the Ravens may win the division, not the Steelers.
Agreed.
John Harbaugh may still be employed by the Ravens, depending upon how it all plays out.
I'm glad that didn't happen then. but regardless,
There's
you're
Lamar
right.
Jackson.
Oh, this is so good. So technically we won 10-7, first offseason win ever. That's great by Lamar. That really is. I love it.
And Kyle Van Noy had a longer tweet that got into the whole the Travis Jones and like, how does this happen? There we go. Have we ever seen the NFL come out months after a game has been played, a couple of weeks after the entire season finished, and admitted they didn't get one huge crucial call in the biggest NFL rivalry game? They got 2 crucial calls wrong in the same game. So the total was 3 horrible calls in one game. That's insane. And there he lists the 3 that we talked about. We need some sort of action now because this cannot happen at the highest level. Well, and he's right. I just don't know what the action would be.
Well, I think what's troubling about it is in that game specifically, I think, again, we get into common sense. And I think if you always used to say, 50 dummies at a bar, right?
That's
right?
supposed to be the standard.
I feel like with all three of those plays, 50 dummies at the bar would have all been on the same page. And that's where you're like, what? But the NFL wasn't on the same page with that? That to me is crazy. I mean, of course, the field goal with Travis Jones and the leverage in the center, that's plain as day. So there was like, well, how do you even call that? So that's crazy. The Isaiah Likely, okay, maybe there's some nuance there. But like you said, I mean, he takes almost 3 steps, but did extend the ball and shielded somebody off. The Aaron Rodgers one is ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous.
Well, consider this. Here's the explanation that was given by the NFL VP of Instant Replay, Mark Butterworth, to a pool reporter after the game. So they had time. Right. They had time to get their act together. Right. All right. So like we're gonna do this pool report, and I know from experience that like there's a lot of like we got to get our act. We got to get this right for this pool report. Right. So they put Butterworth out there, the guy who presumably had his finger on the button to make this decision. He said of the Rodgers catch that had been an interception but was reversed to a catch by Butterworth.
Right.
The offensive player had control of the ball. And as he was going to the ground, yes, there was a hand in there, but he never lost control of the ball, and then his knees hit the ground in control. Therefore, by rule, he is down by contact with control of the ball.
Which would mean Brandon Cooks is definitely a catch. Right.
Brandon Cooks, the offensive player, had control of the ball as he was going to the ground. He never lost control. His knees hit the ground.
Right.
So by rule, he's down by contact with control of the ball. And this is the bigger picture assessment that the league needs to make. And it looks like they have.
Yeah, right.
If you are down by contact while going to the ground, if you're being contacted and your knee hits, is the play over? If it is, then it's a catch.
Right.
If it's not, the ball comes out, it can be an interception.
Right.
So by admitting they were wrong with the Aaron Rodgers play, they are now telling us that their approach is even if you're down by contact or otherwise down by
you
contact,
haven't completed the process.
Still have to hold on to the ball.
Right.
If the ball comes out and it's picked off, it's an interception. So the balls continue. And it's just weird because if you're out in the field of play, right, and you're running the ball and you go down and the guy pushes you down and your knee hits and the ball comes out, the play's over.
Yeah, right.
But in that setting, because you haven't completed the act of the catch, you're pushed down while you're making the catch, the ball comes out, the play's not over. Guy can still intercept it. And I think for some people, it's like something seems off.
It doesn't seem football there because we've all been taught our whole life. Wait, we have control of the ball, your knee hits the ground, that should be it, the play's over, blah, blah, blah. But yes, we know it's hard to define the catch. And one of the, the NFL, yes, you have to survive the ground with that contact, go to the ground, still have the ball, basically get up and be able to give it to the referee. So that made it more clear in that department. But within doing that, you just got to be consistent within doing that. And they were not consistent with that last year. That was the problem. And, the Aaron Rodgers one is ridiculous to say that he had control. I mean, at first it looks like if you look at it, Buchanan's got more of a hand on the ball, and he's pressing it against Rodgers' helmet more than Rodgers is actually holding it against his own helmet. And, of course, there's no football move made in this one at all. So that's what it was crazy that was looked at as a catch at the real time, when it all went down.
And if I could make a suggestion to our friends at 345 Park Avenue, I think the best way to handle this kind of a situation isn't to explain it to Michael David Smith from PFT or try to explain it to Mark Maskey and have it all get garbled in the translation. Have a press conference at the league meetings. Have a press conference here. Have a session where you put up a screen.
Yeah, and you show people.
And you say,
and you teach them a
like
little.
they used to do on the NFL Network Total Access show.
I used to like watching
with originally Mike Pereira
Right.
and then Dean Blandino.
Right.
Okay, we've gone back and looked at these plays because we know this rule is confusing. There's a donut hole in there that we need to close because when you're going to the ground while catching the pass, you have to maintain possession. You have to survive the ground, as the cool kids say. But if you're in the process of going to the ground and being contacted by a defendant, ordinarily you would be down by contact. So we have finally realized what the right process is for threading that needle. And we apologize to the Ravens for not understanding it at the time. But when this occurs, you're not down by contact. What Mark Butterworth said in December, we thought that was accurate at the time, but now that we've had a chance to really analyze it, this is what the rule is going to be going forward.
Yeah, but that's inexcusable. That's just crazy.
I know, but they
week
need
14,
to come out.
We're going to figure out what a catch is for the league season.
But they're admitting it anyway. They need to say it
Yeah.
with their chest. They need to make sure people understand it.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Right.
You can't change what's already happened, but you can make sure people understand it next year. They have an obligation to eliminate confusion. We shouldn't be the ones who have to explain to people why this happened, because then people have to believe it. And they're like, oh, you're fake news or whatever, because we're saying something that goes against their team's interest.
Right.
The league needs to have people who are saying this so people will understand the game. So there isn't this, and I'm trying to avoid the situations where the tinfoil hat crowd starts emailing me, starts tweeting at me that it's fixed. And one of the ways that you help people come to the conclusion that it's not fixed is you have greater transparency, greater accountability, and when you've stepped in it, you acknowledge it, you clean it off your shoe, and you show the world how you're going to avoid stepping in it again. That's what they need to do.
Well, I agree with you there, 100%. They've taken the approach really of like, we're not going to say anything, we're not going to make it a scene or add any more attention to it.
And I appreciate they admit they got it wrong.
So,
I appreciate that part.
You.
But you need to say it with your chest. You need to make sure people understand it, because not as many people are going to acknowledge it. They're not going to notice it. And I think it's one of the reasons we're harping on it today. I want people to understand they admitted they got that wrong. And the Ravens players... The Ravens players get it, and they've amplified it.
Yeah, of course. But I think you're onto something too. With just maybe Troy Vincent or somebody in the league office should do something like that. Again, you can put that on the NFL Network, and I do think people that are really nuanced in the sport, like you and me, teach the people a little bit.
And we could run the clips in this show.
Exactly right.
ESPN could run the clips.
Exactly.
I mean, it's all part of making sure people understand what the rules are and better understand the game and how it works. So when there is a quirky, weird play, you can explain it quickly and people get it. And you don't have people saying, oh, something fishy's going on here.
Right.
They have everything they need to understand it. And then if they don't, it's on them.
Yeah.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.